Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Stephanie Redfeather, and I created this video to show you how to use a pendulum. So let me show you a couple of pendulums. This is one that is store-bought. This is one that I made. A pendulum is basically just a divinatory tool that allows you to connect to the unseen realms, to the higher self, to the other benevolent energies in the universe to give you guidance and answers to your questions. So pendulum is basically just something with a weight at the end of a string or a chain, but you can really use anything as a pendulum as long as it's long enough and will swing. I have used a bracelet. These are a little bit harder because you can't take them apart. So if you have a bracelet that has a clasp, that's a little bit easier to use in a pinch. You could take off your necklace and use that as well. And I've even used my keys as a pendulum. So there's really no end. You know, there's not the right and perfect tool. There's just what's available and if it works for you. So let me start with some pendulum basics. So when you buy a pendulum or when you're trying one out, don't assume that you know what a yes is or what a no is. And so the way this works is you're gonna ask it a question, it's gonna give you an answer. So you have to gain some skill in learning to phrase your question in the form of a yes, no. You can't just say, what should I do about my relationship with my husband? You know, it's not gonna work that way. And so you start with a new pendulum like you're getting to know it like a friend. You're introducing your energies to each other. I'm left-handed. Doesn't matter what hand you are, but you'll see me using my left hand. So I like a little bit of a shorter swing, and so I don't hold it at the top. I usually wrap it around my fingers a couple of times, so you'll see me do that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do when I pick up a new pendulum I've never used is I'm going to say, please give me a yes. And you can see that it's swinging in this direction, back and forth, to and fro. Now, when I taught this before in classes, I've told people not to get pendulum swing envy because pendulums really swing for me. For you, it might be an inch or 2 inches. Mine move quite a bit. So don't worry about how much it's moving. It's the fact that it's moving and that it's consistent for you. So now you want to ask, please give me a no. And you can see that it's swinging back and forth. Now this is how almost every single pendulum I've ever picked up, bracelet, necklace, pair of keys, you know, whatever, pair of earrings, that's how they all swing for me. For you, it may be different. Pendulums can also swing, and I'm going to make it swing so you can see. They can go counterclockwise. They can go clockwise. So yes and no for you might be a clockwise and a counterclockwise circle. Or it may be that yes is a straight line in one direction and no is a circle in a direction. There's no right or wrong, but this is why we ask. This is why you take the time to pick up the pendulum and ask it, please give me a yes and please give me a no. Otherwise, if you've never used one before and you just pick it up, it's going to move, but you're not going to be clear what that actually indicates for you. So let me also show you this with keys, a little bit of a shorter fulcrum here. Please give me a yes. So you can see that they're moving to and fro, and I'm going to still it. Please give me a no. And you can see that they're moving left to right. This can be a little bit harder to do, like I mentioned. It is challenging to get a left-right yes-no with a bracelet like this. So if your pendulums don't tend to swing too much, this may not be a viable option for you, but I'm going to show you for me. So I'm going to say, please give me a yes. That one's pretty easy. No is a little more challenging. Please give me a no. You can see that it's wiggling back and forth left and right, but it's harder just because of the construct of the bracelet to get more swing in that direction. That's why these are challenging. So before you use a pendulum to ask your question, you want to make sure that you've taken a moment to center yourself. I like to make sure that I'm centered, that I've taken a moment to breathe, that I'm connecting in with my guides, or if you're sitting in a chair, you can do the same thing. And that way you are stilling yourself, you are taking a moment to connect with the energies that you are calling forward to help you with your situation, whatever your questions are. So like I said, you have to get skilled at forming your questions in the form of a yes/no answer. But if you have some choices to make, then you can simply use a sticky pad. And I've done this before, or maybe not sticky, because sometimes the sticky part gets in the way of shuffling, but get pieces of paper, write your options. So let's say you've got a problem you're trying to solve or a decision you're trying to make. You've got 3 options. You write one option on each piece of paper, turn them over, shuffle them around, and then you hold your pendulum over each one, and it'll give you a yes or a no, and then you can flip it over and use your pendulum that way. So you can address a little bit more complicated things with the pendulum. You just have to get creative in the way that you do that. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that you are building a relationship with your pendulum. And so you can do activities to actually build that relationship and increase your accuracy, if you will, because I'm not here to tell you that a pendulum is 100% accurate. Like, please don't go to your pendulum and go, should I quit my job? Should I, divorce my spouse? I mean, those are really important decisions. Please use other forms of judgment and don't just pick up your pendulum and go, well, honey, sorry, my pendulum says that we have to split up. So use discretion as you make those kinds of weighty decisions. But you can build your relationship by asking your pendulum questions that you can find the answer to. So for example, how many socks are in my sock drawer? And so you can pick it up and you can say, you can just start with a number. So this is where it gets a little tedious sometimes, but let's say, okay, 25, it's giving me a no, and then I still it. Okay, 26, and it says, yes, there's 26 pairs of socks in my drawer. Okay, so then I can go and check my sock drawer and count. Maybe you're not sure what's in there. Is there orange juice in the refrigerator? Okay, yes, and then you can go check, is there orange juice in the refrigerator? So these are little simple questions that you can ask to develop your relationship with your pendulum. Here's a bonus tip of how to use a pendulum, and that is to not even use a pendulum. You can use your body as a pendulum, and I use this all the time. It's simple, it's easy, it's faster even than just whipping out my keys or taking my necklace off or whatever. And let me show you how that works. So you definitely want to be standing. Doing this sitting is really challenging. I've tried it a couple times, like if I'm driving in the car, but it's a lot harder for your body to register the answer in a way that you can feel and see. So again, balance, center, take a moment to ground. When something is positive or beneficial for us, we're going to want to move towards it. So you ask your body, please give me a yes, and you can see that I'm falling forward. If something is not beneficial for us, not healthy, something we should avoid, we're going to want to move away from it. And so if I ask my body, please give me a no, you can see that I've just fallen backwards. I do this all the time, like with brands of food in the store. I'm like, do I want this can of beans or this can of beans? And then I'll use my body as a pendulum, test it, and it's great. And it just, in a few seconds. You might be wondering, does this work if you're wearing high heels? Does this work if you're standing on uneven ground? Yes, absolutely. Because what is good, right, appropriate, healthy for you is still going to translate through your body. I've stood in 4-inch heels before and gotten a no and went backwards. I've stood on uneven ground plenty of times, used my body as a pendulum and got the correct answer. So don't worry about your shoes or the ground. Just trust that your body knows how to give you the correct answer and that it will indicate that for you. So take your time to play with these different ways of using pendulums and using your body as a pendulum. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.